All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about something that feels like it's been pulled from a movie, but is actually happening right now. Which jobs are first in line for a major AI makeover? We've dug into what all the experts are saying to give you a clear-eyed look at what's coming. And look, this isn't some forecast for 2050. For millions of us, this is already true. AI isn't just a tool working behind the scenes anymore. It's becoming a frontline collaborator, and it's changing how we work in ways we're really just starting to get our heads around. But before we just start listing off job titles, it's super important to understand the why. What actually makes one job a target for automation while another one seems totally safe? Well, it turns out there's a pretty clear set of rules for this. Okay, so the single biggest thing here, it's predictability. AI is a machine that eats patterns for breakfast. That's why this first wave of change is hitting jobs that fall into three big buckets. First, anything super repetitive. Second, work that's all about crunching huge amounts of data. And third, jobs built around understanding and creating language. If your job has a lot of any of those, it's definitely on AI's radar. So, with that in mind, let's get to the main event. We are counting down the top 5 jobs that, according to the experts, are about to be seriously automated by AI, and I mean in the very near future. All right, let's kick this thing off. Coming in at number 5. This one might actually surprise you. It's a job that a lot of us thought was, uniquely human. That's right, content creation, writing. I know, it sounds crazy, doesn't it? We think of writing as this super personal, creative thing, but the reality of that industry, it's a little more complicated. So the key word you gotta remember here is routine. AI is not about to write the next great American novel, but can it whip up 1,000 product descriptions, or draft a basic weekly report, or churn out marketing emails in about the time it takes you to make a cup of coffee? Absolutely. It's that formulaic, high-volume work, which is a huge slice of the content pie that's getting automated first. All right, coming in hot at number 4 on our list, this is a role that we've all encountered. It's that familiar voice on the other end of the phone. Yup, the telemarketer. This one probably isn't a huge shock. I mean, the job is just a perfect storm for automation, right? You've got high call volumes, conversations that are almost totally scripted, and one very clear goal. Just think about what the job actually is. You follow a script, you make a ton of calls, and you handle really simple, predictable questions. AI voice bots are tailor-made for this. They can work 24/7, they can follow a script to the letter, they can even figure out if a customer sounds interested and then maybe pass the more complex calls over to a human. All of that while slashing the costs of running a call center. Okay, on to number 3, and with this one, we're starting to see AI's language skills really go global. Translators and interpreters. Now hold on, we gotta be really clear here. We're talking about the automation of the more routine stuff. We're not talking about translating a beautiful novel or handling the subtleties of high-stakes international diplomacy. AI has gotten ridiculously good at this. You need to translate a massive instruction manual or an entire website into 5 different languages, and AI can do that, right now. But if you need to translate the unspoken cultural meaning in a tense legal negotiation, yeah, that is still very much a human's job. The problem is that first task is way more common, which means demand for human translators for everyday work is falling, and it's falling fast. We are at the runner-up. The number 2 spot goes to a job that is, it's the textbook definition of a task that was just waiting for a machine to come along and do. Data entry. This is the classic example, right? We talked about this. By its very nature, the job is repetitive, it's structured, and it's all about moving information from point A to point B. And this is where you just see the raw brute force power of AI. An algorithm can look at a PDF of an invoice, pull out all the key numbers, and plug them into a spreadsheet way faster and with way fewer mistakes than any person ever could. For this specific task, AI isn't just another option, it is objectively, provably better. And that makes a big manual workforce for this kind of thing, well, pretty much obsolete. And that brings us to the number 1 spot. The job that all the current trends suggest is at the very, very top of the automation list is customer service. This role is already going through a seismic shift, with AI jumping from being a background helper to being right there on the front line. The big driver here? super advanced chatbots. They can talk to thousands of people at once, around the clock without a break. They have instant access to every shred of company information to solve problems. And here's the really wild part. They're getting programmed to sound empathetic to keep you calm. For a business, that mix of scale, speed, and low cost is it's almost impossible to say no to. So you look at that list, and it's really easy to feel a bit, a bit of doom and gloom, right? The robots are taking over. But is it really that simple? Is this actually the beginning of the end for the human worker? Well, as bleak as it might feel, the experts pretty much all agree, no, this is not an ending. It's a transformation. And to get through it, we have to change how we think and start focusing on what makes us uniquely human. And this leads us to this really crucial idea: shifting from one word to another, from automation to augmentation. Automation, which was what we just looked at, is all about replacing tasks. But augmentation, that's different. That's about AI becoming a tool that makes us better. It's like a co-pilot that helps us think faster, be more creative, and solve problems we never could have tackled on our own. And this really is the bottom line. The future isn't about us versus AI. It's about adapting. It's about putting our energy into the skills that AI just can't touch: real critical thinking, complex problem solving, true creativity, emotional intelligence, the skills that complement the tech. The technology is moving at a breakneck speed. It's clearly ready for whatever comes next. So the final question this all leaves us with is a really personal one for every single one of us. Are we